Dear friends, I am Ángel Gurria, Secretary General of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Now, we stand at a critical juncture in the fight against climate change. The international community has committed to preventing global average temperatures from rising above 2 degrees Celsius relative to pre-industrial levels. If we have any hope of meeting this commitment and building upon it to achieve more ambitious outcomes, there are many policies we should pursue. But there are also others that we must stop right away. Policies to subsidize fossil fuel consumption and production are a case in point. It's a no-brainer. There's no time to waste. The OECD leads national and global fossil fuel reform efforts through our analysis, our standards, our tools, our guidance, and our contribution to multilateral commitments. We are proud to have provided the analytical evidence of the gains that the G20 countries would accrue from eliminating these subsidies in the form of reduced greenhouse gas emissions, all the way back to the Pittsburgh G20 summit in 2009. Now, this support helped the US presidency advance the G20 commitment to eliminate fossil fuel subsidies that will later receive the support of the international community through the Friends of Fossil Fuel Subsidy Reform Communique. We're fond of this contribution, not only because of its merits, but because it was the first ever contribution of the OECD at the G20 leaders level. And it was our first intervention also at the Sherpa level. Quantifying the size and the impact of fossil fuel subsidies was also the first mandate we received from G20 finance ministers. And we did not stop there. Together with the World Bank, the OECD lent its support to the peer review system that countries have established through the G20 and are fully supportive of the US quest to establish a target date to deliver this commitment. We're proud that this OECD work has been useful for similar commitments in APEC. Now, we do not come new to providing support to countries that want to phase out fossil fuel subsidies. We've been documenting their size and their cost and their negative effects on the environment and on budgets for years. In several developing countries, the budget allocated to subsidize fossil fuel consumption has been higher than that dedicated to health or to education. Just a dramatic example of misallocation. Among our members and among our partner countries, we have also promoted the adoption of clear commitments to eliminate fossil fuel subsidies. In 2009, the Declaration on Green Growth was discussed and then endorsed. In partnership with the International Energy Agency, we have quantified the environmental and the economic benefits of reforming subsidies for fossil fuel consumption. In our modeling shows that reforms would reduce global greenhouse gas emissions by about 3% by 2020 and up to 10% in some regions with high energy consumption subsidies. Significantly, they would also raise global real income growth. So removing these subsidies is not only good for the environment, it's good for the global economy too. We've also made a major contribution to ensuring the transparency of the reform process with our inventory of support measures from fossil fuels. This inventory provides detailed information on some 800 support measures that collectively cost taxpayers from between 160 to 200 billion. Just last year, in September, we expanded the inventory to cover all OECD member countries: Brazil, China, India, Indonesia, Russia, South Africa. So now we have a very extensive cover. We cover practically all the countries in the world that are important for this business of emissions. And I assure you that our efforts to support the reform of fossil fuel subsidies will continue. We are reinforcing these efforts by facilitating the diagnosis of policy misalignments with the climate goals. We just put out a publication, by the way, working together with the IEA, with the NEA, and with the ITF, that is called Aligning Policies for a Low Carbon Economy. And we also did some complementary work across diverse policy areas, energy taxation, for example, or sustainable land use. Now, the OECD remains unwavering in its pursuit of clean, green growth. And it is with great pleasure that I endorse the Communiqué of the Friends of Fossil Fuel Subsidy Reform. By working to build global political consensus on the importance of fossil fuel subsidy reform, the Friends are making a real difference. Now, the OECD has been working closely with the Friends, our friends, from the beginning. We encourage other bodies, both governmental and non-governmental, to support our growing coalition.